Willowdale was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone. It looked peaceful from the outside, a small, quiet place surrounded by endless fields, half-forgotten rail tracks, and narrow streets that twisted like veins through its heart. But those who'd lived there long enough knew that peace was only an illusion. Some places hold secrets like scars, deep, invisible, and permanent. On a late autumn evening under a pale silver moon, Alex Carter and Sarah Miles walked hand in hand through the empty streets. The air was crisp and cold, carrying the faint scent of burnt wood and wet leaves. Sarah wore a gray hoodie, her hair tied back in a messy bun. Alex, always the brave one, had his camera hanging from his neck, filming random street corners, laughing softly as his breath fogged the lens. "Let's take the shortcut tonight," Alex said suddenly, pointing toward a narrow path between two buildings. Sarah frowned. "The alley? You mean that creepy street?" "It's faster," he grinned. "And come on, it's not that scary." But it was. The alley had a reputation. Some called it the Dark Lane. Others whispered its older name, the Dead End. People said strange things about it. Voices in the dark, shadows moving against the light. A door that opens when no wind blows. Sarah had heard those stories as a kid, but she never believed them until that night. "Alex, please," she said softly. "It's late. Let's just go the normal way." He laughed and squeezed her hand. "Scared already? Don't worry, I'll protect you." And before she could argue, he stepped into the darkness. The air changed instantly. The sound of the crickets vanished. The streetlights behind them began to flicker, one by one. The alley seemed to stretch farther than it should have, longer, narrower, like the world itself was bending around them. They walked in silence. Only their footsteps echoed softly on the cracked ground. "Alex," Sarah whispered, "I don't like this." He turned to look at her, about to say something, when a noise came from ahead. A faint, metallic clang, like a gate creaking open. Both froze. "Probably just the wind," Alex said, though his voice trembled slightly. But there was no wind. The trees weren't moving. Even the air felt still. They reached the source of the sound, a massive iron gate, half-rusted, covered with vines. Behind it stood an abandoned school. Its windows were broken, walls cracked, and the sign above the main entrance read, "Willowdale Primary, closed, since 1986. Sarah stepped back. "Alex, I'm not going in there," he smirked. "Just one look, come on. It'll be fun." "Alex," she snapped, fear creeping into her voice. "I mean it." He turned to her and smiled reassuringly. 5 minutes, I promise." Then he pushed the gate. It groaned open, echoing down the empty street. The moment they stepped inside, the air grew heavy, almost thick, like the world around them had shifted. The sound of their footsteps seemed louder, sharper. The hallway smelled of dust, old paper, and something faintly metallic, like rust or blood. Alex lifted his camera again. "Man, this is crazy. Imagine the stories this place could tell." Sarah stayed close, clutching his arm. The long corridor stretched ahead, doors on each side, their paint peeling, their numbers faded. Suddenly, a giggle echoed behind them. It was soft, almost playful. Sarah spun around. "Alex, tell me you heard that." He froze, the smile fading from his lips. "Yeah," he whispered. "I did." They turned toward the sound. At the far end of the hallway, a small shadow darted across the floor, like a child running past an open door. Sarah gasped. "There's someone here." Alex swallowed hard. "Maybe a squatter. Or maybe we should just go." But before they could move, one of the classroom doors slowly creaked open. Inside, the room was dark, except for a faint, flickering light, like a candle. They stepped closer, curiosity overpowering fear. When they looked inside, their breath-caught old desks stood in crooked rows. The chalkboard still had faint writing on it, words half erased by time, and on one of the back desks, carved deep into the wood, were two names: Alex Hart's Sarah, 1986. Sarah stepped back, heart pounding. "What the hell is that?" Alex stared in disbelief. How can that be? That's our names." Before he could finish, the candlelight flickered violently, then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. A whisper floated through the air, soft, childlike, and terrifyingly close. "Welcome back," Sarah screamed. Alex grabbed her hand, pulling her into the hallway. They ran, breathless, turning corners, tripping over debris. But the corridor seemed endless. Every turn looked the same. "Where's the exit?" Sarah gasped. "I don't know," Alex shouted. "It was right here." Behind them, faint footsteps followed. Tap, tap, tap. Not running, walking. Slowly, steadily. A voice whispered again, closer this time, greater than. "You shouldn't have come back." They burst into a larger hall, old portraits hanging crooked on the walls. The faces in the pictures looked wrong. Their eyes were dark, hollow, as if something had erased the souls from them. Sarah pointed, trembling. "Alex, look!" One of the portraits, labeled Class of 1986, showed a group of students, smiling, but at the end of the row, two faces were faded. Only outlines remained. Beneath them, the names read, Alex Carter, Sarah Miles. "No," Sarah whispered, shaking her head. "That can't be real. That's not us." Alex's voice cracked. "This doesn't make sense." The lights above flickered again, one by one, like a slow heartbeat. And then, from the dark hallway behind them, laughter erupted, loud, distorted, echoing like a chorus of children. Sarah clutched Alex's arm. "We have to go." They ran again, pushing through another door, and stumbled into what looked like a classroom frozen in time. Books lay open on desks, drawings hung on the wall, and a bell sat on the teacher's table. Alex stepped forward. "Wait, this was my old school," he whispered. Sarah looked at him, confused. "What are you talking about? You told me you grew up in Chicago." He looked dazed. I don't remember saying that." The bell suddenly rang by itself. Sarah screamed, backing away, and Alex's camera fell to the floor, lens cracking static. A whisper, a faint giggle. When Alex looked up, Sarah was gone. "Sarah!" he yelled, turning in circles. "Where are you?" His voice echoed, Anna, but no answer came. Only a faint voice from the hall. "Alex, wait for me." He ran toward it, his flashlight flickering, heart pounding. Every step echoed in the empty corridor. The school seemed alive, breathing, pulsing, watching him. He turned a corner and froze. There she was. Sarah stood in front of a mirror at the end of the hallway, her back facing him. "Sarah!" he shouted in relief, running closer. But as he reached out, she turned around, and her eyes were black, completely black. She smiled, not warmly, but inhumanly, and whispered, "We never left, Alex." Then she vanished. The mirror shattered and everything went dark. The next morning, Willowdale police found Alex's phone lying outside the old school gate. The last video showed him breathing heavily, whispering into the camera. "Someone's here. I can't find Sarah, please. If anyone finds this, don't go inside." The video ended with a loud crash and silence. Neither Alex nor Sarah were ever found. 3 weeks later, the school was scheduled for demolition. Workers clearing debris found something carved deep into a wooden desk. "We're still here." And below it, 2 fresh names scratched into the surface. Alex Hart's Sarah, 2024. The same year they disappeared. The foreman ordered the desk removed, but the next morning it was back in the same spot, Untouched, like it had never been moved, they sealed the building instead. Years later, on a rainy night, a group of teenagers dared each other to visit the dark alley. They laughed, joked, filmed everything. But when they reached the school, one of them found an old camera lying in the dirt. The screen flickered, showing a short clip of Alex and Sarah walking hand in hand, smiling. Then the image distorted. For a split second, the teens saw themselves standing in the same hallway. But behind them, two dark shadows watched. The video cut to black. They ran screaming. No one talks about Willowdale anymore. The alley is gone from every map. The school is a ruin, hidden behind overgrown trees, but locals still say, if you walk down that road at midnight, you'll hear a voice in the dark calling softly, "Alex, wait for me." And if you follow it, you never come back.